hocks of Mitchell grass, tasselled scalps embedded in the ground, space out in formation across a broken land to shelter living things come in from the wild. There is respite, not indulgence, behind their frugal, woody doors. Still, circular sanctuaries they are, fanning out in open-palmed, meditative pose. Under their cool eaves, the pilgrims, aureolum clasped together, have chance for quiet pause, as they look out on parrots strolling the ruptured clay with Churchillian ponderance, the sabre-nosed rats, mouths full of sore teeth murdering the termites, and the fissures in the soil cracked red or black, weaving with the same languid curves as the burnt-skinned snakes, using them as highways to shimmy along. A wanderer may find a place among the twiggy blades as they are lured out from their hermitages by a call to mass. Golden threshy spires rising above the sparse plant life draw them, beacons shining within the ravages of droughts and under the boom of breaking rains and the false abundance that follows. To a sermon so uneventful at first, one, then another, is ushered into the foliage, arranging themselves with respectful distance. In quiet unity, worshippers still maintain their moana, not making a sound or ending their fast, while taking up a spot along the pews of straw, wavering in the heat. Unlike us, there are no kings among them, demanding tax for protection as a way to thin out the congregation. There is none to set a cap on who can enter heaven. They arrive and keep arriving, straining the proxemics as they shuffle to stay apart and preserve the vows of the recluse within a crowd all sworn to the same oath. It has to happen eventually, a gentle brush of a leg against another, even just the hair on their skin ever so lightly connecting, the smallest of acts, like the tip of a little finger on your earlobe. In them, the same avalanche comes crashing, the shock of realising their tactile starvation. As we do, they relive the oldest stories written, the knowledge awakening of Eden. More than the taste of food withheld, now swelling realisation. Contact brings a burst of elation, and the choice to remain a loner, keeping the mania dormant, or joining the hive mind of feeling, unleashing the demon. But oh, to be touched and risk gorging after famine and exposure to a refeeding syndrome of emotion as brains swim in the heady serum of serotonin. Temptation upends monkish ways entirely. Giving in, the hypnotic drone from countless rubbing legs mirrors the rhythmic nodding of overpowering sleep brought on by a desert haze, blurring the vision. But to the creator, it has the opposite effect. It's physical communion. It is activation. 2. People of the soil we were, needs sustained by the natural world but otherwise free to ramble, clasping our walking sticks, gazing over lands devoid of human record, shepherds never waging genocide. No obvious signs show of our polymorphous capacity to take on different shapes until kettled by calamity or compelled into company. Still at first, as we gather, there is only sweetness, the tilling of the dirt, the promise of the self-sustaining life before the fall, the happiness of someone reaching out to us to softly stroke our limbs with harmless, delicate caresses, which impossibly also foment war. We know now we are not alone. We are granted the realization of the power of the horde. It takes no time at all, once the decision is made, to throw off the sackcloth of solitary deprivation, to throw ourselves headlong into the pleasure of eating up the world. It starts with one. There always has to be, the first who offers a delicate nuzzle, who finds a seconder and ignites an irrepressible pheromonal passion in them to change and then change those beside them with notions seeded that would germinate our gregarious phase. In the hothouse of ideas, militias form. 3. In a matter of hours, the insects cast aside the drabness of their grasshopper chitin. Phase 1 locusts signal they are poison with yellow reflectors glaring like shark teeth painted under the noses of Messerschmitts. Then they lay their eggs. Just a faint callback in resonance remains when their children tear free. There is an innocent remnant of their former selves in the bamboo shoot greenness of the tiny exoskeletons, but the sway of the principle of this past tranquil state inside the dome of agitation is quickly subsumed by the military operation. Within their first day, nymphs blacken, antennae stiffen with organic alloys, heads become helmets, the mantlet camouflage of tanks in waiting drapes their legs, the dots of ritual war paint cover them throughout, eyes swim pitch dark. And yet, full of their potent strength, they could still go back. Yet to condemn themselves with a bite of the fruit, they could revert to their agrarian state. But they don't go back. One after the other they enlist in a vanguard who will turn in unison and deploy across the sands, breastplates glittering. 4. The instars, unhardened and wingless, march in merriment. A young species, such as we were, their roving troops leap towards a point on the horizon with unbridled energy. What harm can be done from craning towards the blessed sun, eyes closed, lids flickering, from the explosion of light flooding the retinas? 5. Balancing grasshoppers in either palm, mimicking justitia, you cannot likely tell which insect will choose peace when handed a claw. We are the same, all carrying the ability to be one with the desolating band or not. And in moments of calm, it's only a guess which of us will choose to arm ourselves when opportunity knocks. There is more in us than we can explain. Yawns are infectious, and so is pride. We don't know why. The charge jumping between us when we mobilise en masse to seize the spoils of the weak, the madness of the machetes or razored forelegs swinging, unable to stop the ubuzaze. We don't know why. Locust phase. Our obsession to munch the last tender sprout, to ascend and disperse our kind on distant planets, to consume what they have, to inexorably reproduce, to become our alien version, hard-suited and interlinked through robotic filiforms, assembling for the launch to new pastures, awaiting the starter's pistol. 6. A grasshopper is a grasshopper 250 million years on, keeping pure the coding that makes them uniform. Phenotypes fix their behaviour, while we contort and heave, change colour and shudder, an amorphous blob along the timeline of the apes, who has lost the wild gene unless it is hidden within us by other means. We move between the monster and the angel in our being, forming religions as we wrestle the phenomenon. It is the push-pull of our neuroprogramming, splitting our politics into wings and our allegiances into foragers or lovers of machines, killing in the name of utopia. Maybe our ancestors are to blame, or the steampunk monstrosity of our binary brain. Human type A, steered deep from within, peacemaker and corrector, craving novelty and nuance, shining brightest between Brodmann Area 9 and the corpus callosum. Embraced between the two, our self-recognition and data transfer station, or maybe instead just the pickle in our burger chucked together over time. Human type A of the anterior cingulate cortex, the middling slice of cucumber, both divisive and nuanced within the depths of experience. Human type B, pulsing at the temple, driven by the moment and fear arising from it, finding comfort in rules and authority, nails dug in, barely hanging on to the tip of the hippocampus. Amygdala form, always on the extremity of composure and fact. The primitive gristle, chewed with pain, inflaming the nerves, sending an alert out that order will collapse if danger is not averted now. Living in the ever-present crisis, solved by formulas of authority. Righted in the knowledge that there is only one truth, and submission within our mutant form restores the normal allele. Amygdala, placated by the assurance that we are special and set apart from the outside threats, that we together under our bushel have a purpose unto our own. Amygdala seeking soothing words leading to coalescence, in which we prepare to fight, in which we perceive the plan. 7. Harrying us from our earliest, Azrael, roaring above, blotting out the expanse, obliteration left in its wake. Ghost of horror, of an insatiable hunger we can't grasp or defeat. Bogey of all bogies, who lays waste then disappears, leaving empty foreboding. And we, in the same pattern, all a descendant of the herblitarian, volcanoes exploding through the upper mantle of our civility, fermented by ideologies of resentment and cruelty, beating the drums somewhere in our deeper consciousness, beating with a warning of the dread and suffering we know has come before us, but which we somehow cannot prevent again as we zombify. No outward hints, no shell discolouring. Our metamorphosis harder to see. Clues instead in industry, our suits of armour, our Luftwaffe filling the sky. We can alter the genome, fill the air with toxins, but not inoculate against our own cycles of fascism and formation of socio-genocidal pyramids. 8. Isolate a locust for long enough and it can soften. The Wendigo will leave. It will take up the burlap once more. It's a cricket. You can put it in a cage, feed it chaff, cleanse it of the rage. Where we sit on our adjacent timelines, we cannot say. Renaissance, enlightenment, manufacturing, outbreak, upsurge and plague. The wheel of life for the locust matching our modern age. We remain in the thick of our maraudering. En la noche de los 500 años, in the night of the 500 years. We are yet to see the dawning. We hatch and merge with bionic hexapods, and we eat and gather, and on a moonlit night, we take flight. 9. Crumbling under your touch, the face of Jesus becomes dust. Criss-crossed by the imprint of vines, weathered into channels, tears of humidity brought forward by the jungle now run down, poise, and drip, drip, drip onto mounds of leaves. Such simple joy the visage shows of loving Guarani artistry. Curare Tuparova, the face of the sun god. Derere Tupare, you say, Son of God. Sculpted with the tools of the Jesuit, in a mutual expression of spirit, in a time before the promise of shared reverence yielded by that blade, turned to pierce the Amazonians through the heart. Nere era omboke que umbase. You say he absorbs my pain. Mbe ere pico que ugore arupe. Why do you bleed me in his name? In the happiness, barely a moment past, with the chip, chip, chip on the adobe, the visage of Waraki. In the mason's mind, overlaying the melodics sung to the stranger's deity, hummed in their chest as a reforging of worlds, fusing as perfectly as a cleanly snapped femur. It's buried in the middens, with the shards of steel sucked down in the debris. The reason, why? If the Hessian-clad Spaniards knew in themselves they were scouts for a plague king, if they knew they themselves harboured latent seeds of destruction, the plasticity of thought that makes locusts of us all. As they bring together under one roof the wealth of the children of Tupinambo and Taminu, fattening them, the conquistadors hold their swords to whetstones in the distance. A ferocious swarm of lust and jealousy now rising up from across the sea.